心念的也三界心度密也周根那么大心了小一等故那门着那光的阿门我就这么的나야. 야, 좋아요, 구쇼. 안 되면 돼. 저 마음을 쉬어주세요. 저 강대시다, 야.
No, I don't know what order to go with these. Okay. Yeah, in terms of the questions, the ringi jajagi kola mare. Di digirebe. Di ngamagi kirang sungsarson di
kola mare.
Re.
가서 간이 좋아 있는 저그래. 내 저그래 제가 말.
Okay, so here I'll start with, I think this is the first one that was on the table. What is considered the anger that will destroy eons of merit besides full-blown anger? So example, if we feel dislike or slight annoyance or irritation, does that destroy merit? 아니, 디 남기 공로 디 게자 디 윤링보산의 종기래. 와? 이네 공로 디 숙제중이 개바 요레베스. 공로 숙 중중라고 마가와라고 지케나 아니 디 게자 종기레베스.
민가와 때문에 공로 말했어.
No.
민가와 때문에 공로 말어.
아니 공로기
공로서 시에네 바 가서리다 좋아 좋지. 공로서 좋아. 초유랑시 현을 초유랑시是吧?
I mean,
자, 체중기 코조 체중기 왕기 그래서 또 체중이 좀 체중 그래.
No. So, just a feeling of like dislike, for example, is not a full-blown anger. In order to destroy roots of virtue, it needs to be anger. There needs to be sort of like some, I don't know how to translate, animosity towards the other being, a sense of wanting to harm that other being. And so there is a difference, though, in the sort of level of anger. So the more angry, the more virtue or merit one would destroy with that.
아니야, 초유대기 가사 개발자의 맥이 안에서 좀 줘야 개발이 와르스.
No, and there's also a difference in terms of the field, the object of one's anger. So depending on who the object of one's anger is, the merits that will be destroyed are greater or lesser. So there are sort of factors that influence how much of one's merits are destroyed by anger.
점지 괴자들이랑 아니 소남 그 속이 뛰어 이시 그 속이 뛰어든지 양 대지 타요. 저놈 뛰어.
소남 그
속이 뛰어.
So, and when one gets angry, can destroy those virtues that are in the accumulation of merit. Out of the accumulation of wisdom, those merits or those virtues are not as easily destroyed or are not destroyed by anger the way that the accumulation of merit that are other than wisdom are destroyed by anger. No. 아니, the 미치기 속람 채와 디 톱나 속람
저놈은
채와 디 톱나 아니 상계 문수 디잘 두기를 베스 디담
아니 소람 채보 톱나 추진이 등에도 톱네 최진이 딩을 토고면 톰나 아니 산재고라 당완년 두고
No.
저 최지 줄라니 산재남라 신내다 이些양바 토지지 당완 자체 never choose 또 그런 소리 최진이 딩을 줘나 아니 산재고스 자네 아니 tel라 당완년 두고
No. 아니 담각 디 녜든 칙보르베. 담각 디 상예 ngusu 자나 아니 담낭
당완년 두고 그래서
네네네 아니 담각 디기 녜든 칙보르베스. 당근당
당완년도 주부랬으나
Oh, sorry. I didn't read it in English first. So it says, I read that a Buddha appears to someone on the third level of the path of accumulation and directly teaches them about shunyata. Would the Buddha only give definitive teachings?
하세다
Di sangyegi sunya di ngedun chikpore bes.
내가 뭐냐 지내 초그래 내 두그래서 무슨
장든당 ngedun. 장든당 ngedun.
제발요 맞대
개발.
뭐든 그도 아니야 초그래 장den도 아니야 초그래
So one could hear then from the Buddha both those that are definitive teachings as well as those that require interpretation.
또 나라를 순요하래서 대지 최지 뒤란에 산재남라 신내다 이些양바 톱지 당한 자지 내버려 다에 또좀 먹고
So there is a quote from the sutra that explains this about how when one has gained a certain level of meditative concentration, one is then able to directly receive these teachings from the Buddha. So the next question is the bodhicitta, which results from the two different methods or the combination of methods, the same? 아니 유제 맹악 둔당 dakchen 냠제디 장주기셈 계배제도 장이어레 스라와 이네 장셈
장주심 깨비치
계배 탑레
네네네
아니 계약이 장주셈디 계바요레베스 균에 유제맹악 둔기 탑라 테네 디
내 명아 뒤로 장발할 때는 장주심 깨그래 다시 냠지거나 런제나 장주심 깨그래
아니 계바요레베 장주기셈
장주기셈나 계바요 말해 강제 장주 주시 장주기셈 예봐라 코끼지 그 탑텔라 탑민로 니총하러 와
So these are different methods for being able to generate bodhicitta, but the bodhicitta that is generated is the same. There's no difference between those types of bodhicitta. So then the next question is, what is the karmic cause that causes one to always feel drowsy during Dharma teachings and study and reading of Dharma texts? Sorry, I'm just asking all the questions. 아니 이 테스킨 사보도 디 미치기 숭저 년배 값수당 저 롭종체도 디쿠 칼레카기도 당체체기도 아니 레기 규 가르레스
규 가르레
디 숭저 년도 양아 저 롭종 탑체체기도 디 칼레카기도 당체체기도 이네 디기 규 가르레스
초치니 최고 대나대 야보랑 마고 안 되는 게 아니 뇨뇨 뭐 가라카 용그레 아니 초치 그 셈줄라라래 그레스
No. So one part could be that if you don't understand the meaning well, then you get sort of bored or tired with it easily. And the other kind of cause of this can be just not having like mental fortitude. So one needs to increase one's sort of mental strength in applying oneself to the teachings and so forth. So 아니 dagme togna dagme di tona. Oh, sorry. Okay, I always forget to do that. So so this asks to please review the relationship between the realization of no self and karma. So if a sentient being realizes the wisdom of no self, does this mean that being is beyond karma, even if not fully enlightened? 아니, 다음에 토나 아니 레기 왕기 개와 랭거를 베스.
가세.
이 동리 토나 아니
이거 레기 왕기 개와 랭거 요아리.
레기 왕기.
레기 왕기 개와 랭거 요아리.
알레. 아니
다음에 또 아마게 람야즈레나야 레옹 개와 요아로.
아니 디 레왕이 기억이 체 가르레스 디 사탕보토나 사탕보라보토나
근데 사탕보토 말에 다음에 또 하나 안 소놈 길에게 왕그 미리게 wal래 걸 살게 wal래가 요아래 또 나양 아니 소놈 길에게 왕그 미리게 왕그 미리게 wal래다 미리게 고마리게 와다 다들이 온 거래 요아래
아니 okay. So, if a sentient being realizes the wisdom of non-self, they even.
근데 뭐나 삼로치기 뒤에 통하에 다음에 무슨 저 통나 아니 코르케와 편집을 내서 써봐요 말이. 로 양바 통나 편반매 다음에 무슨 또 왜 강사지나 아니 뭐야 레니 그저 편집을 내서 써봐요 말이. 네 삼로도이나 마셔 먹고.
So this is, I didn't clarify well in the question, but so if one has a realization of no self, one can still be at a point where you are able to take rebirth due to karma. So from virtuous karma, you could take rebirth as a human, or from immovable karma, take rebirth in the form and formless realms and so forth. But if you have had a direct realization of emptiness, then one no longer takes rebirths due to karma and is forced to take on a rebirth due to one's karma. So there is a difference, and I should have clarified it in my saying this, between realizing the wisdom of no self and then having a direct perception of that emptiness or no self. So when you've had a direct realization or a direct perception of emptiness, then one is beyond taking rebirth due to karma.
아니, 다음에 또 하나, 다음에 또 왜 가사 이나에 chanju sembal라 이나 초람단 저람 가서 내니 겨요 하지.是吧? 아니 다 년도다 란자라 이 간라 초람 저람 공람 봐도 이거 내니 겨요 하래. 공람 봐도 내니 겨요 하래. 초람 저람 공람 봐도, 是吧? 이나양 파람 토서나 아니 편집을 해서도 써봐 말이야 말이지 이날에 말을 사비 편집을 해 티가 왕기 아니 저런 고통한 거는 나서 개발량이 교육 아래.
No. So this should be clarified that when one attains an Arya path, so has a direct realization of emptiness, this prevents one from creating new karma that would impel one to take rebirth due to that karma. So bodhisattvas who are still on the path of accumulation and the path of preparation before they have reached the path of seeing, which is a superior path or an Arya path, they are still able to take or subject to taking rebirth due to the force of karma. And for hearers and solitary realizers who are on these other lower paths, they can all the way through the path of meditation, so the path of accumulation, preparation, seeing, and meditation, they can, although they haven't generated any new karma since that direct realization of emptiness, they can take rebirth due to the force of previously accumulated karmas. Although they are not creating new, they may be forced to take a rebirth due to the karma that they had already accumulated.
Is it?
No.
Oh, yeah.
아니, 도이 컵수 디 장된당 예등이 개바샤 요레스 이네 유 덴서 디 장된당 예등 니가 요레베스
장된 그 도당 외된 그 도서에 가나다告诉 봐봐 단다 탄주를 자주산 봐 장된 그 도서나 장된당 외된 데서는 외된 군도 외된 단담된 봐 장된 군도 된 봐. 봐. 된다면 외된 단담된 봐. 외된 때지 做 전에 때면 도대 외된 지도. 아니 장된 군도 된 봐. 외된 때지 做 전에 때면 장된 지도. 너 장된 지가 단주를 또 체거래.
아니 유
외된스나 동바 단담된 봐 거랑.
아니
란주를라 전담된 방 어디 땡지 조천에 담바 때문에 다치시도 칼령 왔고 너도 다치시도 칼령 왔 네 거래를 해서 너도 다치도 칼령 거 배나 싫어님 못하고 싫어님 못하고 란주를라 장된지도래 봐 이제 돈이 어디 땡지 조천에 땡장 다치시도 칼령도 미롱하래 자치지도 개라는 미로한 간들에서 싫어님 그 간에 안에 부모하고 대다자 라시지 동반나와 따오 세대 라시지 동바 란주박을 최단자 라시지 주어래 라 최단자 라시지 주어인다 라시지 동바데 공바센도 태양거래 라 란주박 코란 것이 간라 최단자 부모하고 대다 라시 동바고서 부모하고 대다자 전다 바라시지 동바오 스거래 아 전다 바라시 동바오 스템바에 당원에 된지 소체 라시 메바데 제승부터 된지 좀 많이 봐 제승부터 대 안에 장 뭐 다치지 캐라도 물어와 이상 다 제라니 못 참데 등을 말해
이는 유 덴서
란주바 상아
당 유
주 간치세
디 장된당 예등 이 예와 제기를 베스
나라 장된당 거 직받치자래 뭐든 자꾸 좀 자차고 그래요
So, gosh, I forgot to read the question again. The question was, are tantras definitive or interpretive? And I had a quite difficult time asking that. So we first got a good rendition of, again, what definitive and requiring interpretation means. So, and the way of positing this with regard to sutras also applies to tantras as well. They are similarly, could be distinguished into those that are definitive and those that require interpretation. So for the Prasangika school, for the consequentialists, it said that if the main subject matter is explicitly taught, is explicitly emptiness, the ultimate truth, then those scriptures would be considered to be definitive. And if the main subject matter is the conventional truth, then that is something that requires interpretation. So this is the way that the consequentialist school posits the difference between definitive and requiring interpretation. Now, according to the autonomists, they say that if a teaching is, its main subject is the ultimate, then it is definitive so long as it is also literally acceptable without qualifications. So you have to be able to accept the words as they are without any kind of qualifications for it to be definitive. And then for them, those that require interpretation are those that take conventional truth as the main object of the explicit teaching. But so with regard to the definitive, for example, according to the autonomists, they would say that the Heart Sutra, the Perfection of Wisdom, the Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, is something that is requiring interpretation because it can't be taken as the words say. So in here, in the Heart Sutra, we say, for example, that all phenomena are emptiness. They lack intrinsic existence or are empty of intrinsic existence. Now, for the autonomists, you can't accept that literally. That has to be qualified by the fact by saying that the five aggregates are ultimately empty of intrinsic existence. So for them, they require actually not reading that absolutely literally, and so that for them becomes a sutra or a scripture that requires interpretation as opposed to definitive. So the main difference between the Prasangika and the Svatantrika way of understanding is, according to the Svatantrikas, the main subject matter is the ultimate truth, and you have to accept the words literally. Did that get it? Okay.
No.
아니, okay. 디 츠쿠기 콜라 츠쿠. 모니구당 예시 츠쿠기 자와 카레레스.
네, 그렇지.
모니구당 예시 츠쿠 디 자와 카레레스.
자와 카레레스는 가르치려다.
So the 모니구 디
이시초구 세대 안에 산제 그 나바타지 집이 이시 그러와 나바탐지 집이 이시 그 최탐제 안에 가서 지내로 치 무슨도 또 와대 가를 때는 중앙에서는 최탐제라 안에 무슨도 또 봐라 기지지 드바세부터 중앙으로 와 그러와 기지지 드바세부터 드바세데 안에 가서 드바세바기 드바타다 세바기 안다 뭐 가서래 빵바데 투지라 통비도 없지 빵바데 투비도 없지 아니 치탐제 무슨도 시발에 기지지 드바세 세바래 이더니 이시 쇼고 터와래 라 근데서나 제가想가르쳐 뭐我女姑是呢，加上我女姑是呢，我女姑的人也有的，是吧？让新他们跟我女姑当，如果他们跟我女姑当是吧？你这个呢，是我让你就给嘛呢，身体个缺你的，身体这个缺你个，가서 그래 샘지 천이 되라 안에 치매 내봐 마시봐 샘지 치마다 다루니 봐 샘지 지지 년보다 차나 샘지 지지 치마대 다루니 봐 인상 아니 년보 림지 콤바라 때네 아니 샘지 그 치마체 치다 다다도 치다 좋아 인상 아니 랑신 남다 세대 아니 랑신 남다 공고 누구 세대 아니 최 남지 랑신 내루타도 돼 와 다된 가서를 대림이 팀에 세바스 그 세바르디 간라 아니 야 주말임지 세디 간라 사탕보 톱네 아니 치마게 세바게 차자데 거와도 그래서 사탄비 남도 톱디 잠바 텐더비 나랑시 남다 그뭐 가랑시 심지된 그 천이데 아니 사탄보 톱네 티기 치마게 차지라 군다데라 님보 템바게자 사탄비 남도 톱디 잠 아니 텐더와데 딘주 군다 밤비 과된 거 저거 그래서 된지 근다 봐병어 테네리 바시 루부 남다 세대 정말 루부 와대다 답이 차네 아니 콜라 샘지 천이 되라 아니 루부 남다 스타 거래 저 샘지 천이다 정말 루부 와체 샘지랑 신라 마시 와체 님보다 차나 차루 인바인다 다른 바 점지 세디 간라 루부지 정말 탐제 타야 돼 산제가 삼 토마토 바디 연구하면서 산제가 살 톱데 간라 루부 남다기 다 고된데래 저 뒤문도 아니 루부 랑랑기 아니 님보 티기 또지 정말다 차위 루부 남다기 고대레레레레 토기와래 고대 톱스나고 심지 신이 고라 고된 거 뭐저거 두세요 하고서
이네 니당 예시 chugugi.
제가 이시치고 가려서 주마대 세배 또지 아니 내만이 직자도 무슨 수비 이시 톱고 와라 주마대 세발했잖아 주마대 마사 봐도 아니 가서 시제시와라 파도 제바 세대 시지 주바대 마사 봐도 시제 탐제 직자도 무슨 시와리 용지 시치고 톱고 말해 주마 세배 또지 아니 이시치고 톱고 와래
아니 디 로보르기 치마 메베 ngo chugu
뭐유
no ngo niku yang de
我你我的他像三这个机器刮，整夜半边刮蛋的，什么的身体欠你的人吧，现在呀，啥恐怕都是刚才人吧，这什么的他比方说，他的三节拖把的呢，三节个机器身体求过的，去年的路不那么大，上去那么大一个人，他的，
no. Did I not ask the question again? Okay. Okay. So the question was, what is the relation between the two aspects of Dharmakaya Rinpoche described yesterday? So the cessation of all defilements and complete realization, and what are referred to as the nature body and the wisdom Dharmakaya. Are they the same or are they different? So I got some answer, Roger, but I don't know if that's... So... the wisdom Dharmakaya, the wisdom truth body, is the omniscient of a Buddha, and this comes from the force of having removed all adventitious obscurations, such that one is able to simultaneously perceive all phenomena. So that knowledge, that ability to know all things, comes from the force of having removed these obscurations sequentially. And so it is a cessation of all of the defilements that allows for this this realization of all phenomena simultaneously. And then sorry, I just get mixed up with things. So then we can divide the nature body into two sort of different categories. So the first is the sort of primordial purity of this the what am I trying to say? So there is this primordial sort of like nature. Why am I not getting Dharma Dhatu? Yeah, is that the what? Yeah, what is that? Purity. Yeah, okay. So there is this sort of like the ultimate nature or mode of the mind. It's emptiness, that primordial purity that continues into Buddhahood. So this is something that is like, I don't know how to say, like already established is not the right way to say it, but is primordially free from these kind of stains. And then there is the nature body that is the cessation of adventitious defilements. So by, say, at the end of the uninterrupted path that leads into the path of seeing, whereby one has eliminated all sort of artificial, the non-innate kind, the artificial grasping at a self, then one achieves a cessation of that, and that is the this nature body, which is the cessation or the removal of these various adventitious defilements. So with each antidote that is applied, there is a freedom from a particular sort of defilement or obscuration to the mind. So when you achieve the cessation, when you apply the proper antidote and achieve a cessation of a defilement or of an obscuration, then there is a sort of a purity or a nature that is freed from that. And so by removing, eventually by removing all of the obscurations, including those obscurations to omniscience, one then achieves this nature body, which is the ending or the cessation of all of those adventitious defilements. And it is by the force of having removed those adventitious superficial kind of defilements and obscurations that one is able to then achieve the wisdom dharmakaya, the ability to perceive all things directly and simultaneously.
용어니고 될라라시 남다가 차르주 용어니고 지당 루부 남다가 차르주 용어니고 돼 니 예배나네 다오랑주 받아고 되나 루부 남다가 차르주 용어니고 돼 군조 대발이 고대 말이 가서 또니 말이 대하서 고대 인상 랑주 받아 순순나 제가라 아니 년비 또지 파자 매람데 파세 파자 매람 그 또지 년보대 또지 안 리바테단 대차 차위 채나 빵바 치잖아 빵비 차 군조를 토비와래 군조 그 차래 대 아니 관대 간사래 고단데 채 차차 군조 왔대 스페나 산제기야 토비가라 산제 토비가라 등이 멀리바 세비 사차 군조 왔대 아니 누구 남다 그 고단 채 등이 멀리바 세비 춘이데 라시 남다 그 차주용오니고 채 등이 멀리바 세비 세자 군조 왔대 누구 남다 그 차주용오니고 얘랑 오니고 데라 군조 그 차지당 된다 되면 차치니 랑지바 두순 거래
랑지바
나타는 어디 내서야데 탄주루라 심비 춘이 코랑 야 저디 간라 아니 주마세비 사자시 간라 아니 샘고 춘이 산제고 주주 가춘이데 아니 루부지 주마세비 사자 인장 아니 코데 라신 남다 그 차주요 루부 남다 그 차주요 오니까래 라신 남다 그 차주요 오니까래 라신 남다 차주요 오니고당 루부 남다 그 차주요 오니고니 어디 춘이 인바 지바 노배잖아 좋아하면도
No. 아니 곡된지
고denri 고den tenal demate
No. Sorry, I'm not super comfortable with this language. So there is then for the nature body, there is the sort of natural freedom from any sort of defilement or obscuration, the emptiness of the mind of a Buddha. And then there is that part of it that is the cessations that are achieved as you cultivate a particular antidote and get rid of an obscuration. And so for the consequentialists, these cessations are asserted to be ultimate truths, or emptinesses, rather than being conventional phenomena. So for the autonomists and below, this division of the nature dharmakaya, or the nature body, into a kind of natural purity and then a freedom from these adventitious defilements, they say that the natural purity part of it is an ultimate truth, whereas the cessations are conventional truths. So they would assert that the freedom from defilements or freedom from obscurations that are achieved, this nature body then can be divided by a conventional aspect, which is the freedom from adventitious defilements, and then an ultimate aspect, the dharmata of the mind. And so they make this distinction into part of it as being ultimate, and part the cessations that one achieves through the removal of adventitious defilements as being the conventional sort of nature body. But for the Prasangika school, they don't make such a distinction. Both of these nature bodies, the primordial purity as well as the freedom from adventitious defilements, are both the dharmata and are both ultimate truth.
죄송.
레와유. 아니 랑야 두바 제예스 두바 지교레스 아니 라왕와직 라왕와다 랑야 디 케바
이가서 지바 찬지 그래. 간사랑와다 간사랑가 왔어요.
지바라오레
지바도 고초래.
Okay, so the question I have here is could Rinpoche
이상 가지고 라왕 세대 말아 가서 풍보라 맞대와 라왕 풍보라 맞대와 랑자와.
No. So here the question is, could Rinpoche please explain the difference between self-sufficiency and independence? And maybe I'm not using the proper words because he's saying that these are the same. So here the sense of being independent, the chidang di rawangwagi tunda kareres.
기타 간사랑 왔어요. 연구로와 소소랑 그래서 간사랑 왔어요. 기타랑 왔어요.
유당 겐라마도
근데 네 간사랑 왔어요. 왔어야 돼. 풍보란 맞대요. 간사랑 와. 풍보란 맞대요. 간사랑 와.
No.
So
here, in the sense that we're talking about a self or an I, which appears as not having to depend or be contingent or reliant upon the aggregates, this means like independent or self-sufficient. So when we're talking here about something that is self-sufficient and substantially existent, the self-sufficiency is the sense of not having to rely or be dependent upon the aggregates in any way. So it's somehow able to like set itself up or not have to be dependent upon those aggregates. And that's the same sort of meaning as for independent. If you're talking about a self that is independent, it would be not having to rely upon the aggregates. Sorry, I just got this one and Kona di chitang So when doing the giving and taking meditation, I have no difficulty to take the negatives from other beings, but I have no confidence that I can immediately transform these negatives into positives. So I worry before I have that ability, others' negatives would burden and something me as before, because I am sensitive and I do have strong compassion for others. So how do I overcome that? Okay. The Tonglen gi kapsu, Tonglen di semchen shenda gi dikpa dang jipa di tsangma lenya di kale yomare ine di Japochi Jurwa Droya di Kale Kapodu.
Kale Jua Kauche.
The Semjan Shendagi Dikpadang di Sama Lenya di Kale yomare yene tsu par tangyan di kale yores. Yaru droya kandes drogare.
Seji kale ka junjang kare tsu le pa tanya le la wadang tsu le kale kabo yomare sambo kare yomare.
Lenya kale yores. Yeah, actually, man, I don't understand the.
What is that?
When we're taking the negatives from others, yeah, I have no difficulty to take, but it's like, but I don't have this into a positive because I have to give. So it's like that. dark things to stay with me. So, because I do have compassion, I am sensitive. So I, do that, and then I feel like other people's negative burden me and that make me feel depressed because I don't feel I have the ability to immediately transform those negative into positive and then give it back. Yeah.
아니, 술랜드 디 삼삼 샘 교보라고 자기를 했어. 디
동화 출연이가.
제 동양 술 랭야 디 쿠르쳔보를 로 아니 삼삼 샘디 교보라고 자기를 샘 교기를 했어. 아니 디 마요양이 답시 가르를 했어.
그렇지. 이장 先借我钱呢，真正个都修小不人呢，俺那出叫钱干嘛的，是吧？然后真正个先了有人让俺那叫钱干的，先叫了这边落地的先去动啊，然后拉的先动啊，咱查就干了，怎么搞过呀？这叫啥？是吧？你看，先真正个落修小个人在，先真正落下不有的干了，俺那先去动啊，做了一个呢，俺那干什么叫我没有把什么干出这个用不这是。
아니 동양디 술랜 가르치고레스
그렇지.
샘낭라 가르치고레스
가르쳐.
동양 술랜드
이제 현진의 그 상로 야보지연아 아니 선마지와 연구 말했어. 현진.
So, if you have a really strong attitude of cherishing others, then this won't be a problem. Is basically.
真正你读啊，让真正的。 捐同学的当，现真正个原来同学的路也修少不绝呢，俺那天用过嘛的是，这个什么也不绝呢。
So Nan, I'm not sure that this is getting exactly right, and this is my own deficiency in being able to ask the questions. But so if you have a really strong attitude of cherishing others, then then you won't get like depressed when you try to take on the suffering of others. You're imagining that you're taking that away from them, and so if you're able to really get rid of your own self-cherishing and have a mind that's really strongly cherishing others, you don't get like depressed or down when you're taking on the suffering of others. You're able to like recognize that you've taken that from them and not have any kind of depression that comes with. Yeah, you actually feel happy at being able to take away their suffering if you really have a strong. So it's about training the mind in having this attitude of cherishing others and getting rid of our own self-cherishing. And the stronger that is, the more able you'll be to take without having it feel like a burden to you.
Yeah. That is right.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Well, do you want me to ask you a question? Okay. So, do you want to ask it or? Sort of. For the Prasangika school, they assert external objects, but what is the sort of measure of being externally established? How do you measure that, or what is the limit of that?
Maybe like how can they both, accept external objects and reject existing by their own side?
Yeah. Okay. 아니, 다교의 룩솔라 지로 디유 켈랭기를 로와.
지로 켈랭기.
이네 유기문에 두바 용아레.
두고 말했어.
아니 가르치는 디 고마레스.
삼대울라 코라 낭잠 대가랑 지로부터 해. 그래서 낭잠 대 마도 유정원의 주바 자원의 요 말에 대나 때마 주고를 하는 주고를.
낭잠 대. 지로기 유로. 배나 수년 나이 미실라 수년 나와대 치료치료돼. So external objects are mere appearances, and that is what an external object is. So, for example, when we perceive even like a reflection, that is an external object. Even that reflection, the appearance of that. So, it's an external object.
Aside from appearance in the mind, does it exist?
닌 낭잠 지록이 유이나
수년나위 미셸라 수년도 나와 대라 치로고 대수래 치로 대다가르만도 유증원에 주어라 되고 유증원에 주어 자원은 명하랬네 랑원에 주어 자원은 명하려와
이네 니 셰바치
셰와라 수수나위 나와 대라 치로고 되레스
Sorry, what did you say? Is your
Aside from appearance, you said that the external objects appear aside from just appearing to your mind, does the external object exist?
no. No, from its din 낭잠마도 디 치록이 요레베스.
만나 치로 수디 간데지레스나 랑원에 주비 치로 수지 요 말레스. 시와라 수스 나와 잠니 치로 수레. 이 치로 기대 최탐제 미가 파다다는 샤구도하. 시와라 수스 나와 잠데 치로 기대를 마도 치로지 된스리가라 아니 랑원에 주바지 자네 요 말데.
So there's no sort of establishment from its own side. There's nothing that we can point to apart from, say, a form appearing to a consciousness. That appearance is all we can posit as being the external object. There's no other from the side of the object that can be posited because there's nothing that is set up, established from its own side. Everything is merely designated.
어야 자이베 어디래 어야 다다 좀 돼. 치료되라 안에서 치료 샤지 생각되라 아니 우마도 안 주봐 노래는데 샤지 거래 그러와 노래는 치기 샤지 그래 나 렌데 제기 샤지 세단당 도대비 칼레치다니 어디 파지 찍부는 거죠 저와는데 대단히 대지 두된 참에 칼레 두된 참에 산에 라바 투베 투데 투와 칼레데 가나 아니 된다 와디 치료부터 식장 치료 전시자 다 렌데양 드나시 쇼크야 저와래 주나是吧？这现在电视他看是陶器的用过的，他去摸个去是吧？是吧？但这看不到是吧？他就那是吧？
So there are for example the Middle Way Autonomy School following after the Sutra school like Bhava Viveka and so forth assert external objects as being the aggregation of partless particles, and so they have a different kind of way of positing external objects than the Prasangika school that comes after them.
Oh yeah. 아니다. 랑지 벨로네메라는 그 샤바 마이바 유랑 그 토모 마이베 들르스 주와 가짜데스. 다더니 가서래 또배 따삼스. 단주베 대주수도와 단주베 또배 파다 잠마이바 유랑 그 뭐네. 다 또배 파다바 잠마도바. 요 코란 그거네 수수가 돼 가져다 버려 와 다 또배 따잠다 또배 파다잠이라 아니 가서래 개발자체 단다디 란지 빌로네메라나 요왕기 샤바 잠스리가라 로네메라나 요왕기 샤로텔라 아니 가서래 또바다 또메 세면 니요체 또배 파 샤뒤자바 또배 파다바多别怕大吧，是吧？因常让几百多别大这么多的代上， 多别怕大咱都没得事，是吧？多别大咱都得是个了，多别怕军赛大，有情况呢军赛出不去，当然就没得搞过的。有情况呢军赛第一个吧，多别也怕军赛大话去，多别怕大吧。因为多别大咱多别大把人，有情况呢就是对话就各个话人啥，多别怕大咱么人，多别大咱他多别怕大咱的看不清的，是吧？然后这边大家点了，比如讲了，你别说了。就么别下是吧？是吧？就么别下就干了，就没得心大浪都拿完了，就没得心大浪都这我提干了，得心大浪都拿完了，你得心给登录，出我姐姐给。出我姐姐给俺在这大我咱们大不过我几档，没些出我去给你唱过的，是吧？哎呀，这就对呀。
So here, then again, going back to the text, we have this part of the autonomy school, which is one part of the middle way, believes that what we come to refute is any object that exists in some unique way of its own, rather than being established as an existent thing simply by virtue of its having appeared to an unaffected awareness. So again, they are establishing the object of negation is something that has like its uncommon mode of existence, something beyond merely being established by the force of appearing to a non-defective awareness. And so when we move then to the Prasangika, the consequentialists, they say that there's no existence of an object which exists from its own side. Rather, things merely exist by the force of our designating them as such. And so here we have to make a distinction because the middle way autonomy school will accept that things are posited by thought, but they don't accept that they are merely posited by thought. So when you have a valid cognition, you can have a conceptual valid cognition and a non-conceptual. And so in the case of concepts, there is, our mind is designating with that thought or that concept, and then there is something from the side of the object which is to be designated. So they accept, or they posit that there is sort of something from the side of the object, and then something from the side of the perceiving consciousness, the thought that is designating it as such. And those two coming together then make sort of what we can say is the establishment of the object. So when they use an example then, the middle way autonomy school, they use the example of an illusion to illustrate how this works. So to our modern audience, maybe this way of making an illusion isn't so familiar, but apparently they would conjure up like an illusory horse or an elephant or something on the basis of a stone or a stick that had some kind of mantra applied to it. And it's on that basis combined with a defective awareness, somebody whose mind has been sort of affected by this magic, that you then get the appearance of an illusion, an illusory horse or whatever. So there's something from the side of the object. You have to have that basis upon which they've set a spell or something to be able to conjure up this illusion, as well as a person with a defective awareness that is going to see this illusion, and that's the example that they like to use. So they would say that things are designated by thought or by conceptuality, but not merely designated by thought, as would the Prasangika school.
Oh yeah, you know, pagi kasore, desin kita tu ngajar mana, ane desin talang tu nama ni. 대신 그 다랑 연나양 다랑 연 다랑 나저기 제대 답이 나양 미세데 아니 나자 일레 미두가 지기 레tum 뭐좀나 아니 가서 대신도 나자 여장 대신 다랑도 난거 말아와 어이자 대신 그 딩도 다랑 대신 다랑도 나와라 대신 그 딩도 나자 나제지 아니 밖에在的有啊，几档米线按照我在这米来土吧，这个你拆不了单呢，俺你打电信大浪都那个多哦，是吧？这种白啦下去呢，去他们家去那个去他们家样，让给大新闻呢种在月吧，民工呢种在怕大吧。就是怕大吧，我听这几个了，我大新闻呢也别让我呢出发也对，但是张把给咱呢没人把，也民工呢就是在怕大把一张，大把大什么对吧？
So then here, this Middle Way Autonomy School is using this example of an illusion, and in order to have the appearance of an illusory horse or elephant, you need to have this like substance, a stone or a stick or something that's had a special spell applied to it, as well as a visual consciousness of someone who has been affected by whatever spell or whatever conjuring they are doing. So in order to have this appearance of an illusory horse or elephant, whatever it is, you have to have both this this substance that has been affected by a spell or a mantra or something, as well as the visual consciousness that has been affected by that spell as well, in order to be able to have an appearance of this illusory horse or elephant. And so there's something from the side of the basis of designation, as well as from the side of the consciousness that's necessary to have this kind of appearance. So for them, they would say that the basis of designation alone, it can't be like self-sufficient, as it says it can't have its own uncommon or unique way of existing without having to rely upon a perceiving awareness, but it's in part something that's coming from the side of the basis of designation, and then part the consciousness that allows for the appearance of things.
Oh yeah, 天这一张，他到不大咱当，然后就出把你个得死。但是熊开下了，熊拿了，你让就把个到不大咱没再把马不熊得了的，本来现在不到我，那现在不拿了，我马上就把那们，考试宿舍了说吧，他家多比内往个下把门里了是。完了，做虽然就做，看这些是呢，怕多半怕的是，大把咱就往个下半门吧。他马上就把他家多比那怕咱把那么去宿舍了说话专门的不对。就吃的嘛，吃生活上嘛都见了，他家多比那小门的，多半大把门的送上有的的，他家多比那怕大把咱们去，人家说的说话了说话专门的吧。俺比学完了，那也往个小巴塞送药的，俺再打个话，俺比学完了，那我塞真的人家买了，让我往小巴塞送啊是吧？人家多半专门的塞的，多半怕大把咱们就往个专门的吧。
No.
Diba?
Ine takpa yore. Le par takpa yore. Ine
takpa sam yang le par takpa sam mares. Le par takpa sam sheve. Ani rangun na chubar jaguare.
No.
Diba? Tobe takpa sam yin se ke sam ji zedi rangun na chubar ma jaba che. Ani le ne me na ke ma sha ba de ba chubar jaguare.
No.
Diba?
So here then so sorry, I'm just trying to keep all of it. So the middle way autonomy school then posits that things are designated by thought, but they are not merely designated by thought. For them, to have the appearance of things, there must be something from the side of the object, from that side, although it's not sort of self-sufficient by itself, and then some from the side of the perceiving consciousness. It is designated by thought, but they don't posit things as being merely designated or posited by thought. So for them, they can't posit existence, they can't assert any kind of existence if things are merely designated by thought. There has to be something from the side of the object in order to be able to perceive it, they would say. So for the middle way autonomy school, to say that that phenomena are merely designated by thought it would be impossible to have any sort of existence in that way. They wouldn't know how to posit the objects of the five senses and so forth. So it's there is some among the discussion of this, there is some sort of debate about whether they accept designation by thought or whether they don't, because they don't accept phenomena as being merely designated by thought. But for them, they have to have something from the side of the object as well as something from the side of the perceiving subject in order to be able to posit phenomena.
Oh yeah, that didn't. 他就话给多半大什，他大什谁个大多半大什谁个啦？他有情况呢，大完了没吧？他这了住的大完那些，是吧？他这了住的大的干了，他的住的那话这个，他这个我呢住中山街没那样，俺这他的住的那边那话爹爹，俺这他的住的大位。就开始的猪肉面不给大把见过的吧？我这几天看了，我配大把夸张了，我大把出去玩给那我怎么都有情况呢？那是咋呢？没把一张，他就会搞些单了，把这张吧，别，俺这他这个不得别别到给我的，
So then for the consequentialists, they assert that all phenomena are merely posited by mind. So here, the example that they like to use rather than an illusion is like mistaking a striped rope as a snake. So when you say like the conditions are dark and whatever, and you mistake a striped rope as being a snake, you have this appearance of a snake coming at you or whatever, and they posit that, like this example, there is nothing from the side of the object that is creating that appearance of, there's nothing from the side of the object that is establishing that, but rather it's merely due to the force of our thought, our conceptuality, that we have this appearance of a striped or of a snake. So as opposed to the autonomy school, where there has to be some kind of character, some sort of nature from the side of the object that is meeting with our perception, those two are like coming together. Here, as opposed to that, it's they assert that all phenomena are like this mistaken perception of a striped rope as being a snake, in that there is nothing from the side of the object, but rather it is due to the force of our mental designation that's the only way to posit phenomena.
Oh yeah, 等这一张，俺那大外西家，大外他把个西家的这位告诉，多把越把困难越把你当，多把越把困难越把你当，多把没把你太大你，可能嘛家吧，他把那住的大把大了。然后我又按照说没算那些的，多把越把困难，让多些些，多把大把怎么的越把困难当，让多些个多把大把怎么的没把困难，呢，他有他多把大大的看着人是他这了就是到那些人是吧？其他那个我他们家，你看说的。 탁달로 두다지 가라 탁지 뭐네 두 중사자 매와 두면 중사매다 매나야 니 두로 냠도 아니 타다 준지가 지가와 뭐天나시 타달 두도 나와다 치다 나그 뭐 탐제 어랑어랑 그거네 주바 중사자 매나야 是吧？然后我呢，除了种菜节买那样，俺呢，他说的，然后我除了买那样洗的大洗的，啷怎么都等你他说的，每个大把咱们都，俺呢确实他的效果的，确实的效果的，
Tawa chakpagi di shiga bagi dawari. Shiga bagi dawari.
我洗这个多把月包可能要把你打死。
So then here, in the commentary to Arya Deva's 400 verses by Chandrakirti, he says that I wish I could get this really well. Existence is only existence by designation. So all that is necessary to for existence, for something to be existent, is to be designated by thought. And so here he is going against the autonomy school that would say that there needs to be some sort of something from the side of the object in order to suffice for being existent. But there is not even a single particle that is established from its own side. For something to exist, it only needs to exist by designation, in name only. So all inner and outer phenomena, without exception, there's nothing from the side of the object. Like when we misperceive a striped rope as being a snake, there's nothing from the side of that object that is a snake at all, but rather that only exists due to the force of our designating it as such. So here Chandrakirti is emphasizing that to exist by designation suffices for existence, and to not exist by designation suffices for non-existence. So rather than saying that there needs to be some sort of existence or establishment from the side of the object, rather all phenomena are merely designatedly existent or existent by imputation, rather than having anything from the side of the object itself.
哦呀，他把那住的大位置，俺那他把那地住了两个大瓦车上，他看啥个大西的，碰碰我的了吧，碰碰我了带呢，俺那看啥在大瓦牛我在大出去吧。 他认为呢，做买吧，让现在呢，大西碰碰我那样，俺那碰看啥早晚的买吧，是吧？碰不热的话，看啥买人；碰不错吧，也看啥买人吧，是吧？大西碰碰我呢，看啥早的买的，大西碰碰顶多俺啷怎么都，俺那俺是俺那每个他把怎么做啊？
So, in the way that when we misperceive a striped rope to be a snake, there is this basis of designation upon which we designate, oh, snake. Although there is nothing from the side of that object that exists as such, it is the same way with, for example, the person. The person is designated on the basis of designation of the aggregates, but there's nothing from the aggregates that is from the side of the aggregates that establishes that person, or there's no I or a person that like comes out of or is established on the basis of those aggregates, but rather it is on the basis of the aggregates that we then designate the person, although there's nothing from the side of the aggregates that is the person, that is established as the person. And the person is also not the mere collection of the aggregates or the individual aggregates. And so when you search within the aggregates for that thing designated, the person, there's no way you can find that, but it's like this example of imputing onto a striped rope snake, in that same way, on the basis of designation of our aggregates, we impute the I or the self.
Oh yeah, today that 가서래 다시 풍부 초보이 풍부를 와야 많이 초봐야 많이 다시 들여 자와나 예주면 말해 라시 주비 차대 다된 자위사는 미예바데 예바데 라시 주비네 타냐 다위 다된 자위사는 예바데 랑원나 주바 라시 주바 아니 라완도 가란전도 주바 네 다테지 아담바 주바 양다바 주바 다지발 조산장 대탄유라 타냐 다위 다된 자위사는 예바데 타냐 다위 다된 자위냐나 아니 담바 주바 라시 주거와 랑원나 주거와 이제 타냐 다위 다된 자위사는 예주면 와야자 아시 다시 풍비들 따와나 풍부를 와야 마이 아니 가서래 소바야 마이 주삼이 추마이 시도와 중화 지식이 나나 주삼이 추마이 매미 놈이 나가미 남시 마이 꾸면나 텔레션에 주강 세가라 감주 요아래 다가 다시 될라 감주 요아래 감주버래네 아니 대야마 가사마이 감주 뉘어야마 가사마이 오늘 가와요서 감주 주발라 때네 따바잠도 안에 낭잠지 가사지 주그래
So when we take, for example, the I, the self, which is designated on the basis of the aggregates, and we investigate, the aggregates the collection of the aggregates is not the self, not the I, nor is in any one of the individual aggregates the I or the person. And so when you look for that thing which is designated in the basis of designation, so here we're looking for the I or the self within the basis of designation of the aggregates, it's not something that one can find. That unfindability of the self means that it is not truly existent. So if it were the case that you could find within the basis of designation the thing which is designated, then that thing would have to be truly existent, really truly established as existent. It would be established by means of its own characteristics, established by means of its own nature, intrinsically established. All of these things take the same meaning for the Prasangika school, who says that if it were possible to, within the collection of the basis of designation, to find the thing so designated, then that thing would have to have true existence, real existence. But that unfindability demonstrates that things are not truly, really existent. So there is a verse which goes through this with the individual constituents. So there are the six sort of elements that make up a person, and it said then, well, the person isn't earth, it isn't water, it isn't fire, and so on. It isn't air or wind or consciousness, and nor is it the collection of all of those, nor is it any of those individually, nor is it like the configuration of those. So when we examine and search upon the basis of designation, there's no way to find this I that we have so designated on that collection of things. So we can take out each individual element and try to find the I, and it's not there. And we could take the collection of all of the various elements, and that too is not the I. Rather, it is something that is merely designated, merely imputed upon that basis of designation, and that is the extent of its existence.
Oh yeah, that day Chapa country to go sana. Ani Tata do the Tavi Tindu, Ani Tawa Tadu, Ani Druma Tatamji Drum Drubatedam. Dashi Pumbi Tindu, Ani Casa, Tawa Tamdu, Ani Dashi Casore. Casa Nantam to Dashi Trubadi, Ani Dashi de la Dashi Tama in me. 다시 참아인 왜 개발성 송과래다. 다시 참아인 가서 타다 다시 풍부할 때네. 아니 가사제 따바점도 낭점제 가사대 주바대. 아니 지금 몇 타냐라 잡아. 아니 탄협이 채만 민해봐 전담자위 채만야 민해봐 인상 아니 다시 봄비도 미게 따바잠도 낭잠지게 가사축 타를 두도 따와도 아니 두 다시 타지도 아니 두 지대에 타냐라 맞아봐 아니 여봐라 타냐비 참만 여봐 전단자위 참만 여봐 인상 아니 다 제바디 상거래
So here, then, things are established as being merely designated upon their basis of designation. But a basis for designating something needs to be a valid basis. So here, the Prasangika school has sort of different ways of qualifying a basis as being a valid kind of base as opposed to that which isn't. So the first criteria is that it has to be sort of renowned within the world. So designating an I on the basis of the aggregates is something that we do within the world. There's sort of that's known, that's accepted. And then the second criteria is that it can't be damaged or harmed by another valid cognition distinguishing conventionalities. So there has to if another valid cognition, which is distinguishing the conventional, were to be able to refute that or counteract that, then that wouldn't be a valid base. And then finally, it can't be damaged by a valid cognition investigating the ultimate. Now, so in the case of designating a person on the basis of the aggregates, that is something that is accepted in the world. We sort of know that, and that is renowned within the world. So that example fits here. But when we take the example of imputing a snake onto a striped rope, then this would not meet the criteria of being a valid basis of designation according to the world, because there's a general consensus or renown that a striped rope is not a snake in the world. So we would not consider that to be a worldly valid basis of designation for the term snake, whereas a person or an I being designated on the basis of the aggregates is valid within the world.
야, 나 되는 진짜로. 라자 때 탄주관이 또배 파다 잡면봐. 세오 또배 파다 잡면봐. 유랑경원에 주바지 가자 되봐 인스다. 또배 따점 랑주배 되봐. 다 또배 파다 잡아. 세가라 유징원에 파다 잡세가 유징원에 주사자면 받대. 또배 따점이라 유징원에 주사자면 받지 먹어버체. 랑집에 또바다서 캐 또바다서 샤지 시위 왕도 전에 내려와 대체가 샤지 시와데 잠자 주주대라 잠시와 잠자 주주라 아니 랑집바다 탄주와 믿음바 여와 송여데 가나 또바다서 샤지 시와래 대체 다 되네 다 대체 남조대 장고 정어 취미 대지 땡지 도배 타라 패세 땡지 도배 타라 배세데 땡지 도배 타라 배송배 돈이 도배 타라 배 마송바데 다거와 신도 샤와데 르완디 다 지단 땡지라 조조 망보여 봐 르와 땡지라 조조 망보 가래서나 뭐 매바게 다들 유전에 제와게 땡지 소라랑 유전에 제와 라 유전에 때문에 주의 윤전기 때문에 줘봐라 아니 때문에 최탐적이도 좀 해줘봐 누마 치해라 아니 랑 유전에 줘 매와 이상 아니 때문에 좀 해줘봐 라 따발라 때문에 미줘봐 랑집에 tel라 중세 잡아 아니 랑그 차샤를 때문에 잡아 랑그 차샤를 때문에 주바 때문에 그때도 줘봐 랑그 차샤를 때문에 세가 담에다 간대지나요 랑그 차샤를 때문에 주바에다 아니 때문에 샤주가라 담바다메다 빠니가 나긴 이리 띵도 아니 때문에 줘니 봐
So here, then again, the Prasangika school of the Middle Way teaches that what we come to see has no existence is an object which exists from its own side, rather than simply existing through a concept supplied from our side. I would say merely, rather than existing merely as designated by thought or by name. So here, according to the Prasangika school, there is nothing whatsoever that is not that is established from its own side. There's no establishment whatsoever from the side of the object, but things are merely designated by mind. Now, again, the autonomist school accepts the designation or positing by thought, but they don't accept this merely posited by thought. For them, there has to be something from the side of the object such that one is able to correctly realize that object. So for them, they can't accept that there is merely being designated by thought. So here it then says, in the verses of the three principal aspects of the path, the great Tsongkhapa has urged us to try to perceive interdependence or dependent origination. So at the last line of this verse then says, make efforts and ways then to perceive dependent origination. So this he does, instead of telling us to make efforts in ways to perceive emptiness, and this is done for a particular kind of reason. It's important that he is saying make effort to perceive dependent origination instead of make efforts in ways to perceive emptiness. So now there are different ways of positing dependent origination. So for example, the realists, you could say, perhaps instead of functionalist, they posit, so those that accept things as being truly established, they posit a kind of dependent origination as things being dependent upon their causes and conditions. So for them, they are not able to have this dependent origination extend to permanent phenomena, to those things which are uncompounded and don't depend upon causes and conditions. So there is a limit to their understanding of dependent origination. Whereas all, generally according to, including the Prasangika school, they would say that all phenomena are dependently originated. Here, if you take the first sort of level of understanding of interdependence, or dependent origination, it only allows for those things which are changing, which are compounded, and it leaves out uncompounded things. So then the autonomists, they have a slightly better, more subtle way of understanding interdependence to include dependent origination as the whole being reliant upon its parts. And so because they are able to posit dependent origination that way, they can now include permanent phenomena that would not have been understood as dependently originated according to the first understanding. So once you come to this more subtle understanding of the whole depending on the parts and things depending on their causes and conditions, that's a slightly more subtle form of understanding that can apply to both compounded and uncompounded phenomena.
Oh yeah, that didn't that. Then they began a Jawadang, around the Cheshire dinner Jawadang. That then they tramo Sungi Sari, George Tedale Tawas, and it Dashi dan Doce, Doce Toba Tamanila Dennis, that Pum, Dashi, Kasaka Dashi Pumbota Wudang. Doce, and Dashi Pumbola Dene, and Casore, Dini Kasago, and a Topaka, Dashi dan Doce Tamanila Dene, and Dace Techumala.大学的情况了，大把咱们在那，明个大把咱们去，按照学的情况了，但这个是的就别是，大学的了，大把这个康萨的，大把咱们的了，按照康萨的情况，康萨的情况了，但这几天都交白，天这外的，但这全部的，当你特别他妈的是，
So then the last group, the one that we will call prasangika or consequentialist, decides that something is dependently originated, and they have a subtler way than all the rest of understanding this. So it's not just that something that is dependently originated relies upon causes and conditions, or not just that it relies upon its parts, but that dependent origination refers to as well when you have a reasonable basis to be given a name and a reasonable idea to give it a name, and then you come out with a designated object. So there has to be a suitable, there is this subtle level of interdependence, dependence between the suitable basis to be designated and the thought or the act of designating, which then from that comes in a merely nominal object. So something that we have merely designated on the basis, on a reasonable basis through this process of designation. And so this is what all phenomena are in terms of being dependently originated. They are all merely designated upon a proper basis of designation. So this level, this more subtle form of dependent origination is not itself a way to perceive emptiness, but it is helpful.
Oh yeah, 근데 동바데 아니 땡데 로유도 송화라 때네 아니 동바 로유도 샤르바다 동바 로유도 샤와라 때네 아니 땡데 로유도 샤야 다 데레 송고야 이제 그와 다 된다 니 아니 된다 와제 돈이 또 타 말이 스타원아 가르레서나 tum다 엄마다 투몬도 캐려 바기 그런 규제를 때네 집이 땡데 통마 때나 아니 규제를 제와 이장 아니 차다 때네 매바 그 차다를 소마다 송하다 아니 규제를 집에 땡데 또왜 아니 돈이 또왜 탑수 규회나 아니 돈이 또왜 탑수 통마 땡데네 쳐봐지 아니 가쳐와 임바 다이 아니 내 시비 쳐와 인송
So here, this more subtle form of dependent origination is not itself the way to perceive emptiness. But it is. There's a good reason why it is presented at the beginning. There is the level of inner or dependent origination of causes bringing about effects and so forth that is accepted by all schools, and this is given at the beginning, at the outset, because having a good foundation of recognizing that certain causes lead to certain results, that there is this causal relationship, is necessary to prevent people from falling into the extreme of annihilation or nihilism, where they believe that there is nothing whatsoever. So to keep disciples from swinging into that extreme, this form of interdependence or dependent origination is taught at the beginning as a way into emptiness, such that they won't fall into that extreme.
사지 보기
오심에도
닭이 작당 어서 예외 유란연 발성 루 เจเจพังพาเมปะปุกิเลเชเนทุกสมรังสาโตเจนกิโลปีดามกุรัตนะดัลกัมนิยตายามิจัง